In 2013, a man stood backstage at a late-night talk show, his hands trembling as he wiped them against his pants for the 100th time. His heart was racing so fast he could barely breathe. The producer called his name. "Ryan Reynolds, you're on in 2 minutes." The same Ryan Reynolds who millions would later know as the fearless, wisecracking Deadpool was fighting an invisible battle that night, one he'd been fighting his whole life. Social anxiety and panic attacks had been his constant companions since childhood, though few would ever guess it. "I was a twitchy kid," Ryan once revealed. "That twitchy kid grew into a twitchy adult, and somewhere along the way, I learned to hide it. But hiding it? That only made it worse." Around the same time, in another part of Hollywood, a young actress named Amanda Seyfried, everybody knows her most probably from the popular iconic Mean Girls movie, sat alone in her hotel room during the 2013 Golden Globes, one of the biggest nights in entertainment. But Amanda wasn't at the ceremony. She couldn't be. Her anxiety, which had started when she was just 11 years old, had such a tight grip on her that leaving the room felt impossible. These aren't just celebrity stories. They're human stories. Stories that mirror what millions of us face every single day. Ryan's journey started in Vancouver, in a household with what he describes as a tough father figure. As a child, he discovered that making people laugh could ease his anxiety. It became his shield, his armor. But underneath that armor, the battles were getting harder. In his 20s, Ryan did what many of us do. He tried to numb the anxiety. Partying, keeping busy, always being on. But anxiety doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It waits. And for Ryan, it would often strike at the worst moments. "There were times I'd be standing backstage before a talk show appearance," he shared, "and I'd be convinced I was going to die. Not figuratively, literally die." For Amanda, the struggle began in a school theater. She was 11, standing in the wings, waiting for her cue. But instead of butterflies, it felt like wasps in her stomach. Her hands went numb. The room started spinning. She barely made it through her performance, and that night marked the beginning of a battle that would follow her through every major moment of her life. "I'd get physically sick before performances," Amanda later shared. "Everyone thought it was just nerves, but it was so much more than that. It was like my body was betraying me every time I needed it most." The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Here they were, choosing careers that put them directly in the spotlight, while their minds and bodies fought against exactly that. But sometimes, the things that terrify us most are the very things we're meant to face. Ryan found himself at a crossroads in his early 30s. The panic attacks were getting worse, not better. Before every interview, every public appearance, every scene, the same pattern would emerge. Racing thoughts, sweating, the overwhelming urge to escape. But one day, something shifted. Not in a dramatic, movie-worthy moment, but in a quiet realization. "I started to understand that my anxiety wasn't my enemy," Ryan explained. "It was like this overprotective friend who was terrible at their job, always screaming about danger when there wasn't any. Once I saw it that way, I could start having a different conversation with it." Meanwhile, Amanda was fighting her own battles, but taking a different path. After years of suffering in silence, she made a decision that will change everything. She chose to be honest. Not just with herself, but with everyone. "I'm on Lexapro, and I always will be," she stated in an interview, breaking down the stigma many face about medication. "There's nothing wrong with that. The world needs to know that anxiety isn't something you just get over. Sometimes you need help, and that's okay." What happened next for both of them wasn't a miracle cure, because those don't exist for anxiety. Instead, it was something more valuable. They found their own ways to coexist with their anxiety, to function despite it, and sometimes even to use it. Ryan discovered that channeling his anxiety into work could transform that nervous energy into creativity. Those racing thoughts, they became Deadpool's quick-witted remarks. That excessive energy, it fueled his performances. For Amanda, peace came through radical acceptance and creating a life that worked with her anxiety, not against it. She bought a farm, finding that connection with nature and animals helped ground her when anxiety tried to take hold. Here's what both their journeys teach us, and this is crucial. There isn't one path through anxiety. Ryan and Amanda took different routes, but both found their way to better ground. Ryan's approach was about transformation. 1. He learned to redirect anxious energy rather than fight it. 2. He developed a morning meditation routine that he still uses today. 3. He started using breathing techniques before high-stress situations. Think of it like learning to surf instead of trying to calm the ocean. The waves are still there, but you're riding them instead of being crushed by them. Amanda's path focused on acceptance and support. 1. She built a lifestyle that supported her mental health. 2. She wasn't afraid to seek professional help. 3. She created a balance between her career and her peace of mind. What makes these stories powerful isn't that they're about celebrities, it's that they reveal truths that apply to all of us. Both Ryan and Amanda learned something crucial. Anxiety isn't something you beat. It's something you learn to live with and sometimes even grow from. They both speak about quiet moments, those essential pauses in life where you can reset. For Ryan, it's early morning meditation. For Amanda, it's time with her animals. For you, it might be something entirely different, but the principle remains the same. If you're fighting this battle right now, here's what both these stories point to. First, stop waiting to feel normal before you start living. Both Ryan and Amanda still have anxiety. They still have panic attacks, but they show up anyway. Second, find your anchors. Ryan uses meditation and breath work. Amanda has her farm and her therapeutic support. These aren't cures, they're tools, and you need multiple tools in your toolkit. Third, and this is perhaps the most important, be honest about your struggle. Not necessarily with the whole world, but at least with yourself and those closest to you. Both Ryan and Amanda found that hiding their anxiety only made it stronger. Remember that man trembling backstage in 2013? He still gets anxious before appearances. That young actress who missed the Golden Globes? She still has days where anxiety wins. But they've both learned something valuable, something we can all learn from. While these stories show us what's possible, let's talk about what you can do right now, today, to start building your own path to peace. To share something I've learned from studying hundreds of anxiety recovery stories, from speaking with therapists, and from deep research into this topic, there are certain universal truths about managing anxiety that very few people talk about, yet they can change everything. First, the morning window. Your first hour after waking is golden. This isn't about having a perfect morning routine. It's about what you don't do. Your morning routine isn't just a routine, it's your armor for the day ahead. Don't check your phone. Don't immediately plug into the world's chaos. Your brain is like a sponge in those first moments, and whatever you feed it will set the tone for your entire day. Give yourself an extra 30 minutes before you need to start your day. Stay away from your phone for the first hour after waking up. Light exposure first thing helps regulate your nervous system. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement can shift your entire mental state. 2. The Anxiety Toolbox, the body-mind connection. Anxiety lives in your body as much as your mind. Think of managing anxiety like having different tools for different situations. For immediate relief, the 4-7-8 breathing technique works by actually changing your blood oxygen levels. For ongoing tension, progressive muscle relaxation, starting from your toes and working up. Press your feet firmly into the ground. Feel the pressure. This simple action triggers your brain's grounding response. It's like hitting a reset button on your nervous system. For racing thoughts, write them down. Your mind can let go once it knows you've captured them. For social situations, anchor yourself by focusing on colors or objects around you. 3. The daily practices and power of micro-wins. Most people try to tackle anxiety in big sweeps, but that's like trying to move a mountain all at once. Small actions, when done consistently, create massive shifts. Create transition periods between activities. Even 5 minutes helps your nervous system adjust. Set boundaries with your energy. Not every invitation needs a yes. Build in daily pockets of silence. Your mind needs white space to process. Stay hydrated. Anxiety symptoms often worsen with dehydration. Move your body daily. Even gentle walking shifts your nervous system state. Create these tiny victories. Make your bed. Drink a glass of water. Send that one text you've been avoiding. Each small win rebuilds your confidence piece by piece. 4. The Reframe Lifestyle Foundations. When anxiety hits, your brain is actually trying to protect you. It's an outdated survival response, like a smoke alarm that goes off when you're just cooking. You wouldn't rip out the smoke alarm. You'd just learn to recognize when it's a false alarm. These aren't quick fixes, but they're game changers over time. Consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. Reduce caffeine after 2 p.m. Regular meals to stabilize blood sugar. Time in nature. Even urban parks count. Social connections, even if they're small and quiet. 5. Mindset shift and the social secret. Anxiety tries to isolate you, make you feel like you're the only one struggling. But here's the truth. Every time I've shared my own struggles, someone has said, me too. Connection is medicine. It doesn't have to be big. Even a text to one person can break anxiety's isolation spell. Here are some quiet truths that can help change things. Anxiety isn't a character flaw. It's often a sign of an intelligent, creative mind. Perfect days aren't the goal. Manageable days are. You don't have to feel confident to take action. Courage is doing it scared. Recovery isn't linear. Better doesn't mean perfect. Remember this, anxiety shows up differently for everyone. What works for others might not work for you, and that's okay. Your journey isn't about finding the perfect solution. It's about building your own toolkit of strategies that work for your life. So for tonight, instead of scrolling through your phone before bed, spend 5 minutes writing down what made you feel steady today. Not happy, just steady. Those are your personal anchors. They're more valuable than any generic advice. The next morning, give yourself what I call a buffer minute. Just 60 seconds before you start your day to ask yourself, what's the kindest thing I could do for myself today? Sometimes it's as simple as drinking water. Other times it's finally making that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Whether you're a Hollywood star or someone watching this video in your bedroom, anxiety doesn't discriminate. But neither does strength. It's not about being fearless. It's about continuing even when you're afraid. Keep in mind, you're not broken. You're not failing. You're learning a new way to exist in a world that sometimes feels too much. And that takes time. If you're struggling right now, remember that some of the strongest people in the world are fighting the same battle you are. And just like them, you don't have to fight it alone. Take a deep breath. You've made it through every single anxiety peak you've ever had. That's a 100% success rate. And sometimes, remembering that is enough to help you face one more day. Take what serves you from these stories and strategies. Leave what doesn't. Your path to peace might look different from everyone else's, and that's exactly how it should be. Stay gentle with yourself. Stay real. And remember, this isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning of a different chapter.